I want to start by acknowledging something that doesn't always get said out loud. It takes something to be in a room like this. Not just as professionals, not just as advocates, but as human beings willing to sit in the reality of something that is so uncomfortable, complex, and often heartbreaking. So before anything else, thank you all for being here. We often talk about sexual assault through the lens of violence, law, trauma, and all of that is essential. But today I want to gently shift that lens. I want to talk about, and more specifically, how narcissistic dynamics shape the experience of sexual. When we hear the word narcissism, we often think of arrogance, self-importance, but clinically it's far more complex. At its core, narcissism involves a lack of empathy, a need for control, and an inability to see others as fully separate, autonomous individuals. People are not experienced as individuals, but as extensions, objects, or sources of validation. And when you combine that with entitlement, the belief that I deserve what I want, regardless of the cost to you, you begin to see how the groundwork is laid for this violation. Sexual assault is not about desire, it's about dominion. And that sense of entitlement, that quiet permission to override another person's autonomy, is where narcissistic patterns live. I want to focus today on the impact of narcissistic abuse on how survivors experience the act. Because for many survivors, trauma is not just what happened, it's the confusion that surrounds it. And research consistently shows that when trauma occurs within relational dynamics, especially when there's coercion or psychological control, survivors often experience confusion, delayed clarity, and difficulty labeling. I remember a client once saying to me, I don't know if what happened to me counts. When she described the relationship, it didn't start with anything alarming. In fact, it started the way many of these dynamics do. She felt seen, she felt chosen, she even felt understood in a way that felt rare for her. And then slowly, not dramatically, things began to shift. Her boundaries were questioned, her discomfort was reframed, moments that didn't sit right were explained away as, you're being too sensitive, you're overthinking. And then there was a moment. No clear violence, no obvious force. But something in her knew this is not okay. And almost immediately, that knowing was interrupted because he told her that she agreed, that she was remembering it wrong, that she was making something out of nothing. So by the time she came into therapy, she wasn't asking, how do I heal? She was asking, how do I know what's real? That is the impact of narcissistic abuse. Because these dynamics don't just cross boundaries, they blur them. They don't just cause harm, they create confusion about whether that harm even happened. And that is where we must fundamentally shift in how we understand survivors. We often expect survivors to recognize what happened, leave quickly, speak clearly, come forward confidently. But when someone has been living inside a dynamic where their intuition was questioned, their voice had been softened, and their reality had been repeatedly reshaped, those experiences don't hold, and those expectations don't hold. So instead of asking, why didn't they leave, we need to start asking, what made it so hard to see things clearly in the first place? This shift is not just compassionate, it's clinically necessary. Healing then is not just about processing trauma. It's about rebuilding trust with yourself. It's about restoring clarity. It's about being able to say, that didn't feel right. That crossed a boundary. I'm allowed to trust myself. And that restoration takes time. To those of you who support survivors, healthcare professionals, law enforcement, legal advocates, therapists, our role is critical. Because when a survivor whose reality has already been distorted walks into our space, they're not just seeking help. They are asking, will my reality be believed here? And the answer to that question is shaped in small moments, in how we respond to hesitation, in whether we interpret inconsistency as unreliability or as trauma, in whether we prioritize neat narratives over lived experiences. Because trauma, especially when layered with narcissistic abuse, is not always linear or neat. So when we expect clarity before offering validation, we risk recreating the very dynamic that caused harm. But when we slow down, when we listen without trying to immediately correct or organize, when we allow someone to come into their own understanding in their own time, we offer stability. And that stability is what allows clarity to return. Understanding narcissistic abuse does not just help understanding the offenders, it helps us understand survivors, their responses, their timelines, their internal conflicts. And when we understand that, we don't just become more empathetic, we become more effective. In my book, Unseen, I talk about how some of the deepest wounds are not just from what was done, but from the ways our reality was dismissed, reshaped, or not recognized at all. And that is exactly what makes this kind of healing so layered and so important. I want to leave you with this. When sexual violence occurs within narcissistic dynamics, the harm is not only physical or emotional, it's psychological, it's relational. Many of these victims know their offenders, and that is such a deep form of betrayal. It disrupts a person's connection to their own inner knowing. But healing, real healing, is that connection being restored. Every time a survivor is believed without hesitation, every time their experience is not minimized or questioned, every time they are given the space to arrive at their own clarity, something powerful happens. They begin to return to themselves. Healing, at its core, is a return to clarity, to voice, to self. And when we protect that process, we don't just help survivors move forward, we help them come home to themselves.